My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the VRG Virtual Racing League, coming at you live this evening, well, virtually, from WeatherTech, Laguna Seca Raceway. We're getting started here with an hour of practice from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We'll have a 20-minute qualifying session after that, and then a 40-minute race session here as the VRG Virtual Racer League tackles Laguna Seca. It's going to be a challenging one, as we can see out there this evening. Already a bunch of dust kicked up as our competitors are out there scrubbing in their tires and getting the feel for where they're going out there. Currently watching Stefan Vappa get his sights set on perhaps taking another win this evening. We shall see. This is Ian Wisbin with the VRG Virtual Racer League. I'll be with you this evening. We're going to bounce around through the practice session and then pick it up in earnest around qualifying. And then our 40-minute race session. We appreciate you joining us out there in YouTube and Facebook land. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, share with your friends, make some popcorn and fix yourself a drink. Expecting some exciting racing this evening. And again, thanks for joining us here at the VRG Virtual Racer League. So following along here with Mad Mike Kelly, but I understand this evening for the practice session here, we've actually got Taylor Hyatt in the driver's seat. Stretching her legs in the iRacing sim. Perhaps for the first time, uncertain. Maybe she's going to take a shot here at Mike's ride. We'll have to see what the sponsorship thinks about that one. We'll make sure we compare these lap times here during this practice session to see what it's like when Mike jumps in there. We might have a battle here in this privateer effort. Mad Mike Kelly. Thanks for joining us this evening, Taylor. Good luck out there. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. It's all about having fun. Pulling up our championship points here as we follow around Stefan Vappa, currently leading the championship here in Season 4 with the VRG VRL with 252 points. I understand Dave Curtis is not going to be able to make this evening, so Stefan might have an opportunity here to put some space between he and Dave there in second place, 238 points. Bob Lang, of course, is out there, just a point behind Dave in third place. And John Wood, 223 points. And Carlos Bonds taking out that top 5 place there with 219 points, so going to be a fun one this evening. We'll see how everybody does here as they get acclimated with this rather large track here in Laguna Seca with the Skippy F2000s. Going to have to pedal it up a couple of these big hills, but I'm sure just as exciting in the corkscrew nonetheless. As we see Stefan there taking a rather creative, if rather tight line there down through the corkscrew. So we're picking up here with Jeff Tapleside rejoining us after a brief absence here. I believe he had to drive across most of this great United States, moving one of his daughters. Saw some coverage of the travels with dogs in tow, wife in hand, and looked like they had a great time. So glad to have Jeff Tapleside joining us this evening. Pick back up here, see what Mike Kelly's up to. Uncertain if it's Mike or Taylor in the car. Looks like he might have had an off. We'll catch up with them in just a little bit. Kurt Uzbey hanging it out just a little bit there. Right along here with Kurt. Heads down the corkscrew there. Avoiding a bit of drama there at the top of it. Laguna Seca, 11 turns, 2.238 miles in length. I've never been there myself. This will probably be the closest I ever get to driving this track. But we shall see. Expecting some exciting racing this evening, though. I think it's going to take a bit of time for everybody to get this one figured out, because this is a lot of track to have to nail down. We had a practice last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. So I don't have any inside details on who might be quick here. I think if we look at the timing tower here, we can see Stefan and Don Labai are currently out on top. Bob Lang just behind Bob there, followed by John Wood. Mac McCormick up there, P5. Mac's got some pace this evening. Picking up with Mac. We'll have to touch base with him. I understand he was looking to dip his toe into the VR waters, so Mac may actually be out there racing in VR this evening, perhaps for the first time or maybe the second time. Curious to see how he does and how he finds it, but seems like he's pretty comfortable in that car here this evening. Jump up to the Treacle Insurance blimp here. A nice bird's eye view of this course as Mac makes his way around the track. Here's the approaches to corkscrew. Not quite as dramatic from up here in the blimp. You can't see just how much of a decline that is there in that turn. VRG VRL chairman Jim Karamanis giving it some welly. Running just behind, I believe that's Bob Lang just ahead of him. And the Racer Walsh Company sponsored ELB Racing Skippy F2000. Understand that Racer Walsh was down at Daytona for the historic. Brian Walsh running the car and driver Pinto. Car looked great. I believe there was a bit of an unfortunate incident there. Might have made some contact with the wall down there at Daytona, but driver and majority of the car were safe, as well as the Dan Gurney for President bumper sticker. So glad to hear they're all right, and I'm sure they'll rebuild it and go back faster and have one heck of a time. Karamanis really hanging it out there, but able to pull it back in. pick up with Stefan Vappa here and take a lap of Laguna Seca with him. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this. Darren Treacle has joined the track just in time for me to put the camera on him and have him wreck there, seeing he's running the double bubble livery. We'll pick that back up once Darren puts the wheels back on the car. Sorry about that, Darren. Bit of the cameraman's curse. Just over halfway through in our hour-long practice session here at Weathertech, Laguna Seca Raceway. Currently following along with Darren Treacle as he scrubs in his tires. Currently in P9 in the timing tower. I expect he's going to catch up there to Stefan Vappa, who's currently out on top in purple at 138, 175. Still picking up some competitors here this evening, so curious to see if my broadcast partner Steve Ficacci is going to be joining me in the booth, or if he's going to pull on the helmet and give Laguna Seca a shot here. Made another one of his excellent training videos. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to take part in it for this race, but I plan to do that this weekend, get in some seat time. The big track here for these little skippies, so it's important to keep on the gas pedal. Try not to touch the brakes too much, and really try and pedal it. So we'll see how this goes once we get the timing a little closer together here. We got about 25 minutes left here in this practice session. And assuming this is a standing start, should make for a good time this evening. Again, this is Ian Wisman with the VRG Virtual Racer League. Thanks for joining us in Facebook and YouTube land. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share with your friends. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. We do this every Tuesday night. This is the second to last race of our Season 4 series. The Turkey Trot next Tuesday is going to wrap up our Season 4 here, and we're going to crown our Season 4 champion. We're going to be down at Summit Point, which matches up nicely with our annual Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl event. So if you're a racer out there and you'd like to get a race in before the snow flies, swing past vrg.motorsportreg.com, click the link to the Turkey Bowl, get registered, and get down there and get a bit of racing in before Turkey Day. Darren all the way up to P3. Big jump there. Last lap was in P9. So he's finding some pace here. John Wood appears to be experimenting with some cutting-edge aerodynamic bodywork there. Picking up with Stefan as he enters a corkscrew. Interesting fact here. This turn drops 59 feet between the entrance of turn 8 to the exit of turn 8A. According to the internet, equivalent of a 5.5-story drop and only 450 feet of track length. From turn 8 to turn 9, the elevation falls 109 feet or just over 10 stories. So that's quite a bit of a dip. If you're a Pittsburgher, probably similar to that which you would experience while riding on the Thunderbolt, or perhaps the Jackrabbit at America's Family Fun Park, Kennywood Park. Which I understand Kennywood Park, much like Wally World, closed for the season. So if you're on the West Coast and you're listening and you think, hey, Kennywood sounds like a great time, don't drag the family across the country. Unfortunately, Kennywood won't reopen until next season. Darren Treacle just under 2 seconds off of Stefan Vappa's pace. We got about 20 minutes left in this practice session. We'll see if Darren can find a little bit more time. Don LeBayer there, I believe, just rolling out of the pit lane. About a second and a half back from Stefan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined here in the broadcast booth. Steve Ficacci here with us this evening, Tuesday at Laguna Seca. Steve, what do you think about this track? I've been watching it now for a little bit, and it looks like one heck of a good time, but quite a challenge.
Yeah, it's a super demanding course. I mean, no two corners are the same. It's going to be quite a challenge for our racers tonight.
And we're picking up a few more here as we're getting a bit late into the practice session here. We got about just about 15 minutes left. Stefan out on top currently, 137, 827. Darren is swiftly approaching the top of the timing tower. I think it's going to be a close one. Looks like also Don LeBayer is always quick as well. So I think it's going to be a challenging one this evening. Certainly exciting probably throughout the grid.
Yeah, hopefully we have enough cars running at the end of the 40 minutes to have a bit of a show. It can really, I feel like there's so many corners that can catch you out. And, you know, you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, but just a little bit off here or there can end your day. Yeah, it's just not easy. It's the only thing I can say about this track, especially in a little car like this. It doesn't have a ton of power, so you just gotta be fully committed if you want to get the most out of the lap time, and it gives a lot of opportunity for error.
Yeah, and it's certainly a lot of corners to have to put together, and none of them are necessarily easy looking. Question for you, Steve, because I haven't had a chance to get in the sim and drive this track yet. I missed practice Thursday night. See a lot of dust on the track. Is that just for looks, or does it actually come into play as far as traction's concerned?
That's a really good question. I feel it's for looks. It is not. I've never noticed it to hinder me. I've jumped in sessions that had a lot more dust on the track than you see right there, and I've never noticed it to really slow me down much. But I mean, maybe it does, but I haven't noticed that to be true.
Yeah, it seems a lot of well, generally just car control being a tough one here this evening thus far. I think as everybody's trying to get their bearings and you know, maintain some momentum, try to keep the speed up. But if nothing else, I think everybody's gonna have an interesting evening.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's just a tough track, and we talked last week a bit about, you know, tires coming into temperature, and the first few laps are very hairy on this track, and just managing getting that temperature up, and it'll take a good 10 minutes to be able to finally get the most out of the car, and even then I feel like you know, probably 15 minutes till it's at its fullest potential. So it's just it's kind of gonna be a waiting game, you know, before you can really push hard and see what you can do. And it's tough because, you know, the guys are gonna try to be maximizing qualifying and then have to get back into the, you know, conservation mode on those first few laps of the race, you know, while being surrounded by other cars. Hopefully they have enough practice with cars side by side and things like that just to get them through those first few laps.
Yeah, it did seem like it was taking quite a bit of time for people to get their tires up to temperature. We were following Stefan around a little earlier in practice, and I believe he was out on one of his laps where he comes through just to get fresh tires so he can see how the car is going to handle in those first few critical laps during the start of the race. Certainly squirrely in the corkscrew.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to probably do 3 or 4 laps and just pit, start over, and get cool tires back on the car, just to really be familiar with the beginning there. Something else, you know, if you're not super comfortable with running the car, you know, towards the end of the race, you can set up the car maybe a little bit for the beginning of the race, maybe a little looser sway bar, a little bit more air pressure. I mean, it is going to hurt you later, but, you know, a crash car will hurt you later as well. So, you know, you need to be able to get yourself, you know, you got to know yourself to know what you need to get through those first 15 minutes to be able to challenge at the end.
Now, I'm not sure if anybody in the league has actually driven Laguna Seca in the real world, so this could very well be kind of the first time anybody's spent any real time on this track. I understand you did put together another instructional video. Is that correct, Steve?
I did.
I unfortunately
I actually looked and I thought I saw quite a few views on it, so hopefully it did some good.
Yeah, everybody's taking some Cliff's notes on what to do, when to turn left, when to turn right.
Yeah. But I did hear, and I don't know who it was, but I heard somebody say that they actually ran a Skip Barber school here. So, and there might have been 2 of them. So, there is somebody out here with some experience.
Maybe sandbag it during the qualifying session and then have a thrilling race up through the rest of the pack.
Yeah, it's definitely a good track for that. A lot of opportunities if you know your way around.
And I do believe it's going to be a standing start, so that should do good things for the grid, so that we don't have the usual chaos associated with a rolling start. So. Yeah,
turn 1's a little tricky. It's downhill. It's essentially a 180, but it's a double apex 180. And I noticed that I know how I like to go around it, and I feel like many of the faster guys do it the same way I do, but there's every once in a while there's a guy who takes quite a different line into turn 1. Actually, I think they call it turn 2, but that kink is turn 1. But you'll see, on the first lap, the opening lap especially, is all the cars will be bunched up, and you hope everybody's kind of taking a similar line. But if somebody wants to do it a little bit different, it's going to throw everybody off.
Yeah, I would expect everybody's going to be a bit ginger. 40 minutes of race, it's it's a lot of racing ahead of you, and of course, you really want to stay out of getting towed back and sitting in the pits for that repair time.
Yeah, when I drive this car, I really focus on just trying to keep the front of the car clean. You want to make sure the toe stays straight. The steering wheel still, the top it still points up when you're going down the straightaway, and the front wing you want to keep it intact because early on when the car's oversteering, you won't notice so much that front wing's gone. But the last 20 minutes when the tires are up to temperature, you're going to want all the front wing you can have on it.
It's been interesting watching everybody tackle the corkscrew. We just got a glimpse of Stefan doing that. Rather tight to the inside, to the left, and then again to the right, and you kind of just chuck it over the hill and wait for it to hook up and power out of it. Certainly an interesting turn to see in real life, and I was just doing some internet research. 59 feet you drop between the entrance to turn 8 and the exit of turn 8A, so just about 5.5 stories there you drop in the course of the corkscrew, and I think it's 10 stories total.
That's incredible.
Turn 8 and turn 10, so...
Yeah, so when you're approaching the corkscrew, it's totally blind. You can kind of see the left apex kind of starting to trail off as it goes down the hill, but you have no idea where the exit of the left or the apex of the right is. You just got to get enough laps in to do it by feel. We use some trees on the horizon to give yourself a little bit of marker to shoot for, but it's definitely not an easy corner, and there's a lot of time if you can really catch both apexes just perfect. But if you're off a little bit, you'll be either in the grass, you'll either have to slow down. So precision is key here. Stefan just did a great job there.
It's a bit deceptive sitting here watching it. Seems like you'd have all kinds of space there, but you're carrying such a head of steam coming downhill there. You got to be careful not to just run it off the outside, scrub off a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually also one of the corners where, even though the car's underpowered, you can get a lot of wheel spin, which will get you in trouble. So, if you're trying to do a little bit too much steering while being fully on the gas, you will lose the back of the car. So, knowing where those apexes are, going nice and straight through it while being on the gas is the key. You can see Bob Lang, the left front of his wing just nipped up just a little bit. That's the kind of thing in the race where, like I said, those last 20 minutes, the car is going to be a bit tight entering the corners, and you're going to suffer in traffic.
We'll pull up the weather here and take a look because we're coming up to the end of practice session here. We'll check back when we come back for qualifying here. We do 20 minutes of qualifying from 9 to 9:20 just to see what the ambient conditions look like, particularly what the track temperature does. Right now, track temperature looks to be about 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Beautiful day in Laguna Seca. It was a beautiful day here in Pittsburgh where I was at. How about you, Steve? Do you have some nice weather?
Yeah, it was amazing. Took the kids out for a bike ride. I think we have about one more day before the cool comes back.
Yeah, and we're looking at going to Summit Point here for the Turkey Bowl. That's going to be next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Weather looks during the day like it's going to be decent. At night, probably in the 30s. But hey, can't complain too much because we've been there when it's snowing and 10 degrees. So.
Well, with the little bit of racing we were able to do this year, I think any day will be appreciated.
Yeah, any day at the track is a good day. I'm not certain if I'll be driving next weekend. I might have to take a couple of laps at Summit just to reacclimate myself with where I'm going. And then I guess I get to find out if sim racing translates to the real world.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback when you come back.
I think I'll be down there in our BMW 2002, so I'm going to have to take a look through the iRacing stable and see what I have that's similar.
Yeah, I'm guessing, I think there's a BMW GT4. Does that sound right? It's one of those?
There's I think the Z4, something like that.
Mm.
Close enough.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like Darren's got some paint on his car this week. He's
Yeah,
been
double
running,
bubble.
Black carbon fiber, I think it was.
Looks like Clark Orstrom and Carlos Bonds are going to be joining us here just at the end of this practice session. So we'll have about 13, 14 cars, unless a few more join in these last few minutes of practice.
Yeah, Stefan and Darren are only separated by about 2/10.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Darren's had experience here before or not. First couple of laps, he was down towards the bottom of the timing sheets, but picked that up pretty quickly. So we'll see what he can do here in these last couple of minutes in practice, and then see if he can carry that over to qualifying. Expected to be another thriller here. I don't know if Darren can challenge for the championship, but I think he can probably, shoot for certainly the podium here at Laguna Seca and maybe a top 3 finish in the championship when we wrap this all up next week at Summit Point for the Turkey Trot.
I was gonna say, I think Darren missed a few early on, but he jumps up quite a few every race he attends. So, yeah, just as you were saying, probably can't challenge for the top. That's a great shot. I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, it looks like Laguna's benefiting from a couple of newer camera angles here, which is good stuff for us.
Yeah.
Did you take part in Thursday's practice, Steve?
I did. It's a track I'm comfortable at, and like I said, I made that. We talked earlier. I made that video, so I think it was one of the tracks that can give them better insight than others. But hopefully, it was paying off for them. Yeah, I think we had a pretty good crowd, probably about the number we have here in the practice session. Track conditions look very similar.
I think the second race Thursday night was in the Riley prototype. Did you stick around for that one?
Yes. No, I didn't. I jumped out and I made my video for everyone.
Very kind of you, Steve.
Although the feedback seemed positive, everybody seemed to enjoy that car. I haven't driven it in a very long time. I drove it once or twice many years ago, and to me, I always had the feel of just like a fast GT car. It doesn't quite drive like a lightweight prototype, but yeah, I think it's probably I'm looking for the word, but somewhat forgiving car. I think they're pretty robust, and they're fast, so they're enjoyable to drive.
Yeah, I know we're trying to figure out what car we're going to use next season. I seem to hear pretty positive reviews about it, so I'm sure that's probably a contender. I don't know that the Spec Racer Ford, I'm not sure where that one lies. I think that was kind of a love it or hate it car.
You know, it's funny. We drove it a couple weeks ago, and I thought I heard a lot of complaining about it during the session. I don't think anyone said anything nice about it. And then we talked about it about a week later, and everybody's like, you know what? It was fun to drive. So, despite the complaining, I think everybody liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was, you know, like with any car, you got to learn how to drive it. You know, we've gotten so used to the Skippies.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself a little bit of time to get acclimated. We'll be coming up here at the end of this practice session. Coming up on the top of the hour. We'll drop out and then come back for qualifying.
Yeah, I watched the STCA runoffs a few weeks ago with the Spec Racer Ford, and to see what was it, like 50 cars, pretty much nose to tail. I mean, that was so exciting. If we switched to that car and was able to duplicate even an ounce of that, it would be great.
I think it'd be a blast. I mean, the Skippy's a ton of fun, but obviously open wheel cars, you gotta be careful about that. But in the surfs, everything's nicely protected, and they're tanks, as evidenced by the post-race antics at the end of start-finish there. So,
yep.
Let's see who's first out here in this qualifying session for us this evening. This is the VRG Virtual Racer League. We are at Laguna Seca this evening. This is race 7 in our Season 4 8-race series, the West Coast Classic. I believe Stefan's out first. We'll see if we can pick him up once the TV crew gets their stuff together.
Yeah, I think everybody just needs to manage their tires, as we say every week, and get them up to temp. It's going to take every bit of 10 minutes to get them to their max, so you know, you don't want to make any mistakes and have to reset back to the pits. So, you know, caution is key right now.
Stefan, first one out to be the Rabbit. Probably hoping to maintain some clear course here, I'm going to guess.
Just looking at the clock, we're already 2 minutes in, and it's just so critical to manage your clock and manage your time. You know, just the warm-up lap alone was 2 minutes, and this first lap is going to be junk because the tires aren't up to temperature, and just, you know, the time goes quick.
It does, and you get out there and you get all excited and you think, I've only got 20 minutes to do this, I better do it right, and then you overcook it in the first 2 laps, and then you're back in the pits shaking your head, and at least that's my experience. I am getting more patient the longer I do this, but I so infrequently get to actually drive and participate with the guys. I haven't burned off that enthusiasm.
Yeah, when we did the GT3 cars, you know, I always felt the strategy would probably be better to lightly fuel the car, maybe make a stop and get some new tires and try a few times, but these cars, they're so light and they don't use a ton of fuel, so if you keep them filled up, it's not going to be much penalty, if at all. So just being able to stay on track and maximize that tire heat is really what you want to do. And this way you'll get a few laps towards the end. You know, you can get 3-4 laps that'll be of value to you.
Stefan will be first through to set a flying lap. We'll see how he does and how the rest of the field reacts.
So I'm sure that first lap he was pushing, and you can see he's about 2 seconds off of what he, was in practice, and that's just in the temperature of the tires. I mean, the grip's not there yet, and it'll slowly come in a little bit every lap. Have to get used to this new paint on Darren's car.
Yeah. It's a bit loud.
Yeah, considering the other one had nothing. I mean, you couldn't even see the numbers on it because it was all one color.
Well, it looks like Don LeBuyer's initially quick. 139.915, so... see if he can stay up on top there.
We've got a small lockup up front.
Ever so slightly faster, but not quite enough, though Stefan jumps to the top there with a minute 38.83. Pulling up the weather real quick. Track is just a bit cooler at 105 degrees.
Yeah, looks like maybe we lost the sun, which is beneficial for qualifying. Oh, hang on to it. And Bob Lang's looking for his first time lap here.
Up to P8.
Yeah, I think everybody's still got a bunch of time left to find. I mean, nobody's even close to their practice times yet. We're only about 8 minutes in, 4 laps, and probably still working on a little bit of tire temperature. They're getting to the point now they're probably at about 90% of the car's potential. Assuming they didn't reset to the pits and get some fresh, cold tires.
No tire warmers in this racing league. See how Stefan does this time around.
Did he match his time there twice in a row?
I believe he did.
Looks like Darren Trico reset. We still have Don LeBuyer up in second.
Pick up Clark Orstrom as he comes around.
I love the old F1 paint.
Clark in the real world races the UFO liveried BMW CSL. I attempted that paint scheme. I need to aim for something a little more straightforward. If you're not familiar with the car, it's red and white, kind of psychedelic stripes.
Gotcha. No, yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Purdue's Bay, a bit of drift style there. I understand Kurt's recently acquired a Lotus 11. Beautiful looking car. Hope to see that out in the real world here. He promised me, well, he actually said, and I have this in print or email form, my Lotus 11 as Sue Lotus 11, so I'm going to hold him to that. Because I don't know how many chances I'll get to actually sit in one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I just Googled a Lotus 11. That's a neat looking car. Looks fast just sitting there.
Doesn't it?
You know, it goes back to a time and just a different philosophy on how to build a race car. It's interesting to see. Yeah, the tires, the wheels are almost all covered.
Sorry about that, Toby. Put the camera on you to see how you did that lap around. Unfortunately, I think I cursed you a little bit. So we're just over halfway through here in this 20-minute qualifying session, the VRG Virtual Racer League West Coast Classic at Laguna Seca. Currently looking at Stefan Vapp out on top as he dives through the corkscrew.
I mean, you can tell why he's fast. He uses all the curve, you know, all the track, all the curb, all the runoff. The car's pretty much sliding the whole way around the corner. You know, it's just at 100%. Here we are, 12 minutes in. He finally sets a 137 lap. It's fast.
Don LeBuyer currently sitting in second place, just a bit off his time. Currently riding along here with Darren Treacle, who's finding time. About 8 minutes left. Carlos Bond's jumping up the timing sheets here.
You know, if you look close at Darren's car in the front, that front wing is just tweaked up a little bit. And believe it or not, that tiny bit will affect the handling of the car and can slow down its straightaway speed. You know, on the passenger side or the right side of the car.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not quite straight. You can see it. Yeah, you take a little bit too much of the sausage curb on the inside of some of these fast corners, and it'll just give it a little bang. Looking at the qualifying sheet, quite a few guys have exceeded their practice times. So that's always good to see. Getting confident in the car.
It's always amazing to me, myself and other drivers. You know, I think probably some people, entirely possible, they hadn't really turned any laps here, or a very small handful. But, you know, just in that hour of practice, how quickly you can actually acclimate yourself. You're certainly not an expert by any means, but, you know, you get up to speed quick. Done a little bit of damage there in his side pod.
Yeah, I mean we've been in the skip quite a while now, so I think that definitely gives these guys an advantage when they're trying to learn a track. You know, they're comfortable with the car. So they just got to learn the little nuances of the corners.
Ralph Solomon joining us this evening. Gonna have to get in touch with Ralph. I understand he has a custom livery he'd like to run. Gonna have to send him a tech support work order, and we can get that one taken care of for him. I'm not certain. I know Ralph was complaining of some back pain. I believe he's maybe going to have to do something about that. So hopefully he's feeling better here and has a good race with us this evening.
Yeah, if he's not running it to get that livery up, he needs to be on trading paints. Really makes everything smooth. Really, I feel like it's the first thing everybody gets after they get iRacing, and it just helps. Helps with making sure immersion to a degree, but it enhances your experience. That's for sure.
Yeah, I may give out trading paints gift cards for Christmas this year.
Not a bad idea. I think it's about $20 or whatever it is a year for the pro membership, and it's just nice to have.
Now, I know Mac McCormick was threatening to get VR last time I talked to him. I'm not sure if he had acquired that yet, but he seems to be pretty comfortable here at Laguna Seca. I'm not sure if he's got some experience here at this track, or perhaps it's just one of his favorites whenever he sits down to the sim rig. But definitely going to have to touch base with Mac and see if he is racing in VR, and if so, how he finds it. I know he was...
I do remember when I first jumped in, and a long, like a 40-minute session was a bit much. And not, I mean, I know some people have trouble with their eyes, things like that, but for me, it was just a new experience. So him being in the car here for probably in for an hour already, and now he's looking at another 40 minutes. I'd be curious how he handles that. That's Jim Karamanis. He's up in fourth already. Oh, it looks like he just saved that.
Just saved that. Of course, I click over to Dawn and...
I feel like we're killing everybody right now.
Sorry, guys. I promise you, it's not intentional, but we got to put on a show here, so...
Yeah, we have to show someone. At this point, if you're wrecked, you're not going to improve your qualifying time at all. But there's definitely value to going out right now and just feeling out that first lap or two, just to see what it's going to be like in the race. Remind yourself how little grip there is going to be on that first corner.
Stick with Darren here as we come to the closing minutes of this 20-minute qualifying session at Laguna Seca. See if he's able to improve upon his time.
Just a few hundredths between him and Don LeBar, fighting for that second position. You hear the engine rev up as he's turning to the left there. That's the tire spinning.
Not enough to take Dawn that lap. He'll get one more here, I think. Got his sector times up so we can see if he's able to find some time.
He was only a few tenths away. Oh!
Well, I'm going to guess Darren's going to sit and wait for the start.
mean, that was going to be his last flying lap, so his only hope was to go for the corner and hope the guy wasn't at the apex when he got there, but fortunately for him, it didn't work out that way. Seven Babel, 37.2. That's super quick and significantly faster than he went in practice. You can see now the sun's out. Track's gonna be a little bit hotter than it was earlier in the qualifying session.
Yep. So that's a checker on our qualifying session here. A few folks circling out on track. Once they complete their flying laps, head back to the pits, then we'll get our starting grid from timing and scoring, and we'll read that off to you here as we get ready for the West Coast Classic at WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway here at the VRG Virtual Racer League. This is Ian Wisman and Steve Ficacci. Steve, thanks again for joining me in the booth, and thank you very much for the training video that you made for the league. I think the consistency in lap times have proven them once again to be a great benefit, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm always happy to help. It's funny, not too many questions usually after I put those videos up. I'm kind of eager to answer questions, but nobody ever has any, but it is definitely an improvement in performance, so we're happy to see that.
Yeah, I might have to hook you up in the headsets. You can be a crew chief instead of the guy that usually yells at me.
Yeah, he's an angry guy.
He can be.
Foul mouth too.
I just turned on the foul language setting. I didn't. Yeah. We'll be pulling up our starting grid here in just a minute once timing and scoring gets that to us, and we'll run through that with you here.
You look at the qualifying sheet, we got a few clusters of times, so hopefully we'll have a few smaller packs racing throughout the race here.
Pace car's out on track, so we'll wait for our competitors to load in here. Starting off in pole position this evening at Laguna Seca, Stefan Vappa. Outside pole, Don LeBayer. Darren Treacle qualifying in third position. Jim Karamanis in fourth. Carlos Bonds rounding out the top five. We've got Bob Lang in sixth. Mike Kelly in seventh. John Wood eighth. Mac McCormick in ninth. I think that's one of his better starting positions. Kurt Uzbay 10th. Clark Orstrom in 11th place. Ralph Solomon in 12th place. We got Jeff Taplesai in 13th and Toby Yurko back in 14th. Pretty close to the first 6 or 7 drivers here this evening. So expect everybody to have a good race throughout the grid.
Yeah, 14 cars on the grid. I hope the difficulty of the track didn't scare anyone away. It can be a bit to manage. Like I said, every corner is different. I mean, it's a lot to learn.
Yeah, Jim asked me if I was broadcasting or racing, and I just wasn't going to have the time to practice. And while it's fun, certainly don't want to infringe upon anybody's evening if I'm still learning which way I'm going. So
And I guess Jim's hand's good enough. He had that accident a few weeks ago.
So a rolling start here this evening at Laguna Seca. Thought it might be a standing start. Probably on the part of the race chairman to give everybody one last chance to familiarize themselves with the track.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. Yeah, definitely keep everybody on their toes. You know, what kind of start we're gonna have every week. I'm gonna guess and say that the at speed start that these guys are gonna have is gonna be a little more advantageous to them. To entering turn 2, they'll be going a more familiar speed versus when they start middle of the straightaway and don't really know where the braking point exactly is gonna be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've entered many an official race only to get on the grid. Be starting up front and say, yeah, I wonder where I am supposed to brake for that first turn, on these cold tires and short run up.
Pace car is in, waiting for the green lights to come up. Stefan Vappa, your pole sitter, outside Don LeBayer, Darren Trickle just behind. Jim Kiermanis, Bob Line, Carlos Spons. This should be an exciting one, folks.
Green flag, green flag.
They're racing.
Green flag is out. They are racing. West Coast Classic, Laguna Seca, VRG Virtual Racing League. It looks like a cone is trying to reach outer space there. Stefan Vappa clean into turn 2. Darren Treacle behind Don LeBayer, Jim Kiermanis, Bob Lang.
Yeah, the whole field's done a great job.
Very clean start there from our competitors this evening. Looks like Toby Yorko getting a bit loose there on those cold tires.
Stefan's using all the track and then some. I think that's turn 7. The exit there can be super slick. It's a little bit, I don't know, manageable, I guess you could say. In this car, where if you do get 2 tires in the outside dirt there, you can save it with little lost time. In a GT car, it's often you'll be in the fence. A great shot really shows the elevation of even just the front stretch.
Stefan pulling out just a bit of a lead there. Darren a lock up there. Don LeBayer behind, showing him he's there. Jim Kiermanis, Bob Lang, John Wood.
Darren was so far out there, I was questioning whether or not he got back on the asphalt.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
Everybody's doing a pretty good job catching all the apexes on that blind corner there.
Right back there in the battle for that 6th position. Stefan gap in the field just a little bit. Darren and Don LeBayer having a bit of a battle.
Yeah, train about 5 cars there for 6. Those 2 cars following Jim both have a little bit of front wing damage already. Oh!
John Wood went to the inside.
Well, Jim definitely got the worst of that. But pretty amazed John Wood was able to carry on.
Mike Kelly able to take 5th place away from John Wood there after the collision between John and Jim Karamanis. Looks like Jim has gone back to the pits to get fixed up and come back out. We'll jump up to the top of the grid here with Don LeBayer and Darren Treacle.
Yeah, these two have fallen back a little bit from Stefan Vappa, but they're turning similar lap times still, so there's a chance that they could catch back up. Uh-oh. John Wood, a big slide job there. Was able to hang out to it, but lost position.
Carlos runs wide and John takes it back. Is Carlos able to stick with him? He recovers.
Wow, I thought for sure he was headed to the inside wall. Yeah, if you're patient with your steering inputs and your throttle, you can ride out in that grass and that dirt a little bit on the exit of turn 7. He was a little bit too aggressive, came across, and somehow gathered it back up. That was impressive.
Up with our race leader here, Stefan Vapp, who's going to be catching up Jim Karamanis, who would have just come out of the pits after picking up repairs after that shunt. Let me go back and take a look at that one. Jump back to the replay here. Keep an eye on car 272 there, Jim Karamanis with John Wood just behind.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like John Wood was plenty alongside. Jim should have given him some room. Maybe he didn't realize he was there, or forgot to turn a spotter on, possibly. It's a shame he had good practice pace and he qualified well.
That he did. Somebody just shooting off the track there in the back. I think that was Jim again.
Yeah,
We probably should stop talking about him. Like Kelly chasing Bob Lang here.
You know, last week at Lime Rock, Mike Kelly, I think he made a few mistakes, but he actually had one of the fastest laps of the race, so he can definitely have some pace when he gets a little room to himself.
Seems to have taken that rather handily from Bob. Mike Kelly up to 4th place here.
Yeah, Bob seems a little bit off on pace from his usual. He's usually much closer to the front. I feel, you know, his overall lap times. But as we said earlier, it's a tough place to get the hang of.
Take the opportunity to thank the folks watching on YouTube and Facebook. Appreciate you joining us here this Tuesday evening with the VRG Virtual Racer League. We'll do it again next Tuesday for the season finale, the Turkey Trot at Summit Point. And if you want to go racing in the real world, we'll also be at Summit Point next weekend for the Turkey Bowl. So if you want to get one last race in, or perhaps even your first race of this odd 2020 race season, head over to vrg.motorsportreg.com, click the button and register for the Turkey Bowl at Summit Point. Weather is looking quite decent during the day, a bit chilly at night, but I don't think the snow is going to fly, so I think it'll be a nice time for everybody to get out there and have a race with friends. Plenty of track time, so much that you'll be ready to go home on Sunday. Pick up with Ralph Solomon here for a little bit, who's running up behind John Wood. John looks to have lost a bit of front end bodywork there.
Oh yeah.
John actually,
Yeah, we've seen at other tracks where that could be quite painful. You know, straightaway speed.
see John turned into the pits there. He's going to get that bodywork repaired, get back out there.
Like Ralph went a little defensive there. It's not a corner I like to go side by side through. He definitely got his hands full. Sawing away at that wheel.
It's sometimes a bit disheartening in the Skippy when you come up close to somebody advance you to a turn like that, scrub off all your momentum, and there's not really anything there when you press down on the go pedal.
Yeah, it can be tough. I mean, when you have two fairly evenly matched cars, or drivers anyway, you know, you just catch them at the wrong spots and can't get that normal drive out of the corner. Just gives you nothing down the straight to work with.
Clark making a move to the inside here. Let's see if he can make it stick.
Yeah, Ralph's been doing a pretty good job of blocking the course there, or at least taking the line away anyway. Yeah, I shouldn't say blocking because he's not really doing anything wrong, but he's sacrificing his own entry speeds, but he's taking the line away, which is making Clark's job much harder.
Well, Ralph Selva in the real world is, I think, would qualify as a momentum car, though it is a Formula Junior. Oh, Ralph.
Boy.
Sorry,
Ralph.
Ralph.
Looks like he nosed it right into the tires.
They're talking about you there. Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, his Formula Junior, while it goes quick for what it is, I think still very much qualifies as a momentum car, so I think he's pretty used to putting that car where it needs to be to defend. Touch base with our race leader here.
Yeah, Stefan's really doing a great job. Got a good feel for this track now. Yeah, I think he's always felt comfortable in the Skippy, and oh, watch out for that lap car.
Got about 5 seconds on Darren and Don. Darren Treacle second position. Don LeBuyer sitting P3 currently.
It looks like Don's lost touch with Darren. They were close together for quite a bit of time.
Like Kelly currently in 4th place. He's picked up 3 positions since the start of this race. About 15 minutes into a 40-minute race here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I don't know if he's had sim experience in the past, but he's definitely picked it up quick. It doesn't look like we have anybody too close on the circuit here. Everybody's spread out pretty good.
Quite a crowd here this evening at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, just looking at Don's lap times, he's circulating in the high 138s, which is pretty easy, very consistent. I think he made a small mistake and lost touch with Darren, and you know, and maybe he was drafting a little bit just to stick with him there early, and once he kind of fell back, he couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't run the lap times of the earlier in the race that he had.
Stefan seems to be improving on his lap times, not anybody around him, so probably going to be a pretty lonely race until he catches up to a bit of traffic here.
Oh, hang on to it there, Don. And Darren's been turning low 38s pretty much at the start of the race. Just doesn't quite have the pace of Stefan. I mean, they're not terribly far off either. It's just about 2/10 a lap.
Just see Stefan off in the distance there, so Darren has his rabbit to chase.
He's got 20 minutes to get it done. Oh, is that a car on the track?
I believe that is. Stefan just narrowly avoiding. Allowed Darren to make up some time here.
I think he's made quite a bit of time. And down to 3 seconds almost. That's Don Solomon, I believe, in front of us. Oh boy, oh boy. There are about 3 close calls I count there.
Yep. There's a bit of pucker there.
Yeah, it's just amazing how the lap traffic always seems to work out to, you know, 0 in the end of helping and hurting everyone equally. You can see even Stefan has quite a bit of pace advantage on these cars he's catching, but he still has to pick and choose where he gets by. It's not just a guarantee that you can pass them wherever you want, you know, as soon as you catch them.
And in just that little bit of lap traffic, Darren's back within just under 4 seconds, so making some time up here. 21 and a half minutes into the 40-minute race session here.
It's Kurt Uzbey asked for a little help with replicating, I think, his real-life paint, getting his company sponsors on there. We did that for him this week. Yeah, so we're at the point of race now here where, you know, everybody's tires are fully up to temperature and you got everything you're going to get out of them, and hopefully you didn't damage that front wing so you didn't lose any pace, because this is where you're going to feel that. I do see quite a few damaged front wings though.
Yeah, all look to be that the right side of the car, so I wonder if maybe getting a little too aggressive coming down the corkscrew.
Yeah, there's a couple places where it can catch you out as well with the sausage curb to the inside of the regular curb on the apexes. You got to hit it pretty hard, but it is a way to do it. It is a way to damage the wing. I mean, you can also make car contact as well. I think we saw earlier one of these cones went flying in the air. That'll damage a wing.
Mike Kelly continuing his charge there, trying to run down Don LeBayer for third place. Made his way around Ralph Solomon.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure he has the pace. They seem to be similar in lap time. He's got quite a bit of deficit right now. They'd have to make up just over 10 seconds. I can't imagine that Darren's not frustrated. I mean, he's so close to Stefan's times. He's just, always on the wrong side of the over/under.
Yeah, pretty much equidistant at this point, though. He does, at least in the last couple of laps, he's gaining some time on Stefan. I hear talk of a fun race and a endurance race, perhaps, with the VRL. Perhaps in between seasons 4 and 5, or perhaps during season 5. Location and car yet to be determined, but I think that would be a fun one, and I'm definitely going to drive that one.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who pairs up with who. We could definitely end up with some power teams. Hopefully, we keep it nice and balanced.
Yeah, spread it around a little bit. DC region SCCA iRacing League is going to be having a 4-hour enduro at Road America on November 15th. I believe that's going to be some mixed class GT4 GTE stuff.
Yeah, that would be fun. I drove the GT4 cars when they first came out and haven't visited them again, but they kind of drove somewhere between like a Spec Miata and a GT3 car. I thought they were fun. The GT3 cars and the GTE cars, they're kind of fast, and you can't always race wheel to wheel without too many offs. But the Spec Miatas can, so that little bit of balance between the two, it's significantly faster than the Mazda, but I felt like it still had the good racing that the Mazda shows. Little cluster of cars here we have around the track. Oh boy. Oh, he's in the fence. Yeah, as he was approaching the corkscrew and he was starting to make that left-hander, you could hear the engine RPMs dip. That was him locking up the rear tires. Once you do that, you're going to hang on to it a little bit, and he wasn't able to gather it back up.
Picking up with Darren Treacle, I think, as he makes his way around John Wood, and Stefan Vappa ahead is going to be coming up on Clark Orstrom. So we got another little bit of traffic here in play to see if Darren can close the gap to Stefan.
Yeah, the gap's kind of hovered right in that upper 3-second range, maybe a little bit closer than it was before. But it looks like Darren's going to need a little help if he is going to get it back up there. I think Darren's probably a little bit frustrated that he wasn't able to stay closer earlier in the race, because as you can see, he's shown the last 20 minutes that he's got a very similar pace.
Using all the track. Let's see. Darren purple in his last two sectors.
Yeah, I mean, 10th apart. Kind of they go back and forth, and Darren never seems to get any closer. Looks like we got a car blinking in front of Stefan. See him popping in and out of the map there for a second.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff Tapleside just ahead.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when you got racers all over the country. Oh, it's not the way the corner goes, Jeff. Yeah, that could be a challenging corner. The car gets late as you come up over the hill, and you have to be a little gentle on the brakes. And if you're trying to steer to the right to keep the car wide for the corkscrew, that can happen. It's a mistake we've all made. Darren took another chunk out of the lead there.
Pick up with Carlos Bonds, Kurt Usbay, and I believe Ralph Solomon there just behind Kurt. Bob Lang ahead of them.
Looks like Kurt customized the front wing there. Not sure it's for the better.
The high downforce setup.
Last time I went through, it looked like it was kind of wobbling around. Yeah, Don's had a pretty uneventful race. Just cruising around in third by himself here. Probably gonna appreciate that. I think he made a mistake last week that took him out of the running.
Coming up on 5 minutes left here in the 40-minute race session here at Laguna Seca with the VRG Virtual Racer League. Watching Darren Treacle currently in second place, trying as hard as he can to catch Stefan Vappa, who has led this race from the drop of the green flag.
You know, in terms of on-track action, it hasn't been the most exciting race, but it reminds me a bit of like a Formula One race where the car's just a few seconds apart and, you know, the gap gets a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Maybe if we had some pit strategy or something, we'd be looking at this race differently.
Yeah, there's a thought. You could,
we could limit fuel tanks.
Right, run a fixed setup and ensure that there's a pit stop in here.
A few years ago, I ran the Skip 2K, which is a Skip Barber race. I don't remember the exact length of the races, but they're probably similar to about what we run. And we had a fixed fuel tank limit, so we could only run the 2.1 gallons, which, you know, would not be enough for this race. So we'd all have to take a point and decide, you know, strategically when was the best time to take that pit stop. Also gave you something else to practice because you had to practice your pit in and your pit out. Get the car stopped right in the box. You know, too far forward, you're gonna have to back up. That'll cost you several seconds.
Make sure you turn off your tire change.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Stefan's going to be coming up on Mac McCormick here in the waning stages of this race. Depending upon where Stefan catches him, might be to Darren's benefit.
Yeah, it's back under 3 seconds. Stefan turned a 37.2, which is an absolute flyer, but then his last lap was only a low 38. Darren's just been hovering in the high 137, super consistent. I mean, his last almost 10 laps varied between a 37.7 and a 37.9. I mean, to be that close and also managing traffic is really quite a feat. He'll be coming up on Mac McCormick in a little bit. By. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Only a few minutes left here. A 3 second gap.
I can't see Stefan making a mistake at this point.
No, he's been very consistent all year. I can't think of any real mistakes he's made.
Should be white flag next time by start finish for Stefan.
And Darren's just right there. 40 minutes, you know, just staring at the back of a car. You can't seem to get close enough to do anything about it.
Looks like Stefan went purple on that last lap. Running a bit wide there.
Yeah, he's still pushing.
As it stands right now, we got Stefan Vapid leading the race, flag to flag thus far. This is probably the last lap of the race. Darren Treacle second place, Don LeByron third, Mike Kelly fourth place, Bob Lang in fifth.
I mean, that was it. That's perfect the way he hit those two apexes.
Checkered flag is out. Next time by, Stefan Vapid is going to take this. Unless something miraculous happens here, it's going to be Stefan Vapid for the win at Laguna Seca. There you have it, folks. Your race winner, Stefan Vapid, flag to flag. Darren Treacle finishing in second place. Hard-fought race there by Darren, just not enough to be able to catch up with Stefan.
Wow, Darren's last lap was incredibly fast. 37.0, fast lap of the race.
Don the Buyer finishing P3.
Good job, Don.
Pick up Mike Kelly here as he comes around to take fourth place. Hard charger of the race, picking up 3 positions from qualifying. Nicely driven, Mike. Bob Lang, Carlos Bonds. Carlos is haunting Bob here in the last turn onto the front straight, start finish.
Oh, he goes a little bit wide. They both do. Pushing hard.
Bob Lang and Carlos 5th and 6th respectively. Kurt Uzbey, Ralph Solomon coming around. Like Kurt's racing for position. Well, he's just ahead of Ralph there on the timing sheets.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're a lap apart, aren't they?
And that'll do it for the VRG Virtual Racer League at Laguna Seca for the West Coast Classic. We'll take a peek over in the lobby, see who's going to join us for the post-race interviews.
Yeah, not as much car-to-car racing as we had hoped, but definitely a clean race at the front. Guys were pushing hard, and you could see Stefan and Darren just, you know, giving it their all the whole race, just trying to make sure they caught the lapped cars at the right times and doing what they could. But I think it was a little frustrating for Darren and probably exciting as well.
Turning some great lap times to your point, Steve. Super consistent the entire 40 minutes of that race. Unfortunately, Stefan was equally as consistent and, you know, quicker there for the majority of the race till the last lap when Darren pulls off fastest lap of the race. But, yeah, tough place to be there for Darren. He could see it, just couldn't grab it, and the traffic just didn't come into play probably as he had hoped.
Yeah, I think he's been a little frustrated just was, you know, couldn't quite find all the pace that he wanted for the past few races, but he definitely had pace today. It was just a little bit slow out of the box, and Stefan created a gap very early that Darren couldn't overcome.
Carlos Bonds putting on a donut show for the fans out there. I see Mac McCormick sitting there as well. I can't imagine Mac is doing donuts. All right, folks, we're going to cut out for just a minute, see who we're going to bring into the interview booth here with us. I think we have our race winner and our second place finisher, so we'll be right back with you here with the VRG Virtual Racer League. All right, this is Ian Wisbin and Steve Ficacci with the VRG Virtual Racer League, the West Coast Classic at Laguna Seca. We have with us race winner Stefan Vappa and second place finisher Darren Treacle. Stefan, first of all, congratulations. Nicely done this evening. How was the race for you?
It was hard. I struggle with this track, and I went through all of practice trying to figure out how to get it under control. But when the race came around, I got some focus, it seemed, and the first couple of laps went really well, and that gave me some confidence, especially on those tires that are not quite up to temperature. And then after that, I could feel like I was keeping it on the part of the track where I wanted it to be for at least most of the time. And so the early part went really well. As soon as I started catching a couple of folks to lap them, it broke my concentration a touch, and I had a lap or two there where the red sausage curbs were magnetic. But it all kind of worked out, and boy, I was running for my life there. I could see Darren in the relative, but it was just beyond the point where I could see him in my mirrors. And I just, I could pull a half a second gap every once in a while, and then it would disappear. And another half a second gap, and it would disappear. Oh boy, I'm glad that one was over.
Yeah, we were watching closely there at the end. Darren, we jumped in the cockpit with you a few times. You could just see a blip of blue and yellow on the horizon there. Nicely driven race there, Darren. Probably very frustrating for you, but you did manage to pull off fastest lap of the race there on the last lap of the race. Why don't you give us a bit about the 40 minutes here at Laguna Seca for you?
Sure, yeah. It was started off a little tough. My first 3, 4, 5 laps were a bit of a struggle. And I had to call Don off. I thought he was gonna try to pass me in a turn that was gonna hold us both up, and Stefan was just gonna disappear. But he didn't, which was good. And then I was able to settle in, and I thought Stefan was kind of playing with me, because every once in a while I'd catch up a little bit and then he'd pull out a little bit, and I'm like, man, he's just messing with me. But I mean, it was I got for whatever reason I did have a little extra cone or two via some lappers. They like to sometimes make things a little bit more difficult, it seems like, for me, where I'm not sure which way they're going to go when they're whipping around. They got the tank slapper going. but all in all, it was fun. It was good. Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised that I turned such a fast lap on the last lap, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's a blazing lap.
Yeah,
Darren, I noticed your laps were super consistent for most of the race. Did you just kind of give it a little extra, or just work out for you?
I'm I may have given a little bit extra, here and there, but probably I didn't. Maybe I hit my marks a little better. The car was obviously a lot better towards the end. A little lighter on fuel, tires all good and hot and warm. But I think I had a little bit in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? Let's just step it up a notch at this point. What do you got to lose? Maybe I'll make Stefan a little nervous and he'll mess up or something. My strategy in the beginning, when I apologized before we even started for hitting him, didn't work apparently. So.
Yeah, I also noticed on like lap 4, it looks like you picked up a little wing damage. Did you notice that helping or hurting you at all? I mean, I know typically that'll hurt your turn in a bit and possibly slow you down a little bit of straight line speed.
I did not notice it. I'm not sure when it happened, unless it happened going through that fast left-hander, under the bridge and going up
Yep.
toward. I mean, every time I go through there, it sounds like I'm losing something.
Yeah,
To be honest
yeah. The
with you.
car
Yeah,
makes
I
all
actually think
kinds
you
of
picked it up
noises
in the
there.
corkscrew.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, the front wing is in definite danger of its life on this track. The
Yeah.
There are several places where if you're just a little bit off, it'll bend it up. I did some inadvertent testing when I was just practicing by myself, and hit it on one of those sausage curbs, and it was bent up, and it didn't seem to make a big difference. I think that this track is not as aerodynamically dependent as some of the ones we've run.
Mhm.
It didn't seem to hurt my lap times at all, so it's a good thing too, because it gets bent up pretty easily here.
Yeah, it was a bit like watching a Formula One race. I had mentioned, just you guys were a few seconds apart and trading tenths here and there, and nobody seemed to get any closer. Nobody seemed to get any farther. Um, I'm sure it was an intense battle. Wish you guys could have got a little closer though.
Yeah, well, it felt pretty intense from my point of view. It's like
Yeah.
I I would I could pull out a little bit, but when I was doing that, I wasn't necessarily comfortable.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm trying to do it on a clean race. I'm trying not to spend a bunch of time with my tires in the dirt. And when I was doing that, it was close a bunch of times. So um, it was right on the edge.
Yeah, no, I would look at Stefan's time and then look immediately over at my time, so I could see every lap. I was comparing his lap to my lap to see if I was going to be able, if I was creeping any closer. I was just looking at watching his times and my times.
Well, I just brought Mac McCormick here into the broadcast booth, get a couple of words with Mac. Mac, you look pretty confident out there this evening at Laguna Seca. Not sure if you have some real-world experience there, but you look like you were hitting your turn-ins, and you look quick. How was it for you this evening?
No, I've never been there in real life, but my goal was to keep it clean this time. So I was just slowly working up a lap time, and yeah, kind of didn't do too well in the start. Dropped about 2 or 3 places, but got them back. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's an amazing track.
Yeah, a lot of acreage out there. Everybody got pretty well spread out there by the end, which is a little unfortunate. Of course, up here in the broadcast, we're looking for perhaps a little something to slow Stefan down. I'm sure Darren's trying to pay people to slow down and get in front of Stefan. But yeah, it looked like a good time out there. Mac, I know we'd spoken outside of the racing. Perhaps you were going to pick up a VR headset. Did you switch to VR? Or are you still racing on your screens?
I'm still racing on my screens. I picked up the Oculus Rift S, and I just couldn't go for the Facebook part of it.
I
So
see.
I sent it back.
Well, there you go. Don't blame you.
I actually read the privacy statement that Facebook put out for that thing, and man,
They want all your
access to
contacts
everything.
and your
Everything,
social
everything.
security
It's
numbers and
pretty scary. Pretty scary.
Well,
So
yeah, you look good out there, Mac. And you were quick. You had a decent qualifying time, and to your point, you did keep it clean out there. So, good
was my
race this
goal.
evening. And
Not to crash out. So
well,
trying to get consistent.
next race, we're at Summit Point for the Turkey Trot. It's going to be the
Yay.
Season 8 finale. The track we all know and love dearly. Darren, I understand you were there this past weekend turning some real-world laps. Is that true?
I was there yesterday.
How was it?
Oh, good.
It was excellent. The weather was fantastic. There were some pretty neat cars there. And I was just turning some good. It was just, I just enjoy being at the track. Cool cars, fun people. It's just kind of like my happy place. So yeah, it was really nice.
And the
What was
VRG
that
will.
event there?
What's that?
What was the event? Was it just a test day or was it a?
It was a Summit Point Drivers Club,
Okay.
and I was invited to go. Actually, Clark invited me to go.
Oh, cool.
They have a couple of BMWs that they're trying to potentially do either Champ Car or AER, and I might do it with them. So I'll go out there and drive one of the cars. But I took my Civic this time and just drove that. So it was just a nice day to be at the track. I mean,
Weather, awesome.
the weather was fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, it was hot up here. I can't imagine how warm it was down there.
Well, the VRG will be at Summit Point next week for the annual season-ending Turkey Bowl. That'll be November 20, 21, 22. So if you're in the area or you're looking for a last race of the season or perhaps your first race of the season like myself, head over to vrg.motorsportreg.com and hit that button and register for the race. Come out and join us next weekend. The weather looks like it's going to be decent during the day. A bit chilly at night, but I'm not going to complain because it'll be race cars at a real racetrack.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you all for joining us. Steve, you have any last thoughts here as we wrap up the West Coast Classic at Laguna Seca?
Yeah, I think it was a great race. Really, really good in the beginning there. No major incidents. Everybody got off the line well. First few laps were clean. And then the guys just put in a bunch of hard laps. A little disappointed that we didn't have more side-by-side racing, but I think we've been kind of spoiled the last few weeks and had great racing throughout the pack. So, overall clean race, and I'll take it.
Yeah, this track doesn't have the long straightaway with a fast lead in that makes the drafting so important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Well, heading
I
into-
noticed that there wasn't that much chatter tonight. I think most people were concentrating pretty hard.
Yeah.
I know I was up in the booth. Well, next week we're going to head into the final race of Season 4 here. Stefan currently in the lead with 295 points. Second place there, Bob Lang. Third, John Wood. Darren, you are clawing your way back up the standings. Currently sitting in 7th place with 202 points. You're not going to have enough in it to take the championship from Stefan, but I'm sure you'll show up and give him one heck of a race.
I'm certainly going to try.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Looking forward to it.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us up here in the broadcast booth, and thanks for putting on a good show this evening at Laguna Seca. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yep.
Ian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See
you.
next week. Good night.
Good
See you
night. Thanks, everybody. Steve, thanks again for joining us up here. Very much appreciate it. What do you think next thanks week? for having me. I'm looking forward to next week. Are you in the booth or are you in the car?
Geez, wait, let me think. Tuesday? No, I'm gonna try to be in the car. We'll see. At this point, I like being in the booth just as much. So we'll find out. What are you thinking? You gonna broadcast? You gonna race?
Phew. I don't know. I think I'd like to watch another good race and not get involved in the championship. I'd hate to be a deciding factor. So I may be happier in the booth next week.
I hear you there. So maybe we'll both be back here again next week. Well, thank you again very much, Steve. Thanks for the instructional video, which I think was of great benefit to everybody in the race this evening. And then we'll get back together Tuesday night. We'll do it again, the Turkey Trot at Summit Point with the VRG Virtual Racer League.
Great. See you next week.
Thanks, Steve. Have a good evening.
You.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for us here at Laguna Seca. This is Ian Wisbin with the VRG Virtual Racer League. I seem to have lost my excellent closing theme song. There we go. A lot of things to do up here in the broadcast booth. I want to thank Steve Ficacci again for joining me up here in the broadcast booth. Excellent color commentary. Thank you for joining us out there on YouTube and Facebook land. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends. We'll be back here again Tuesday night. The Turkey Trot at Summit Point. The VRG Virtual Racer League season finale. Looking for Stefan Vappa to take another championship here, unless Bob Lang can challenge him for the win. We appreciate you for joining us.
Hope to see you again next Tuesday night. Details on Season 5, what car, what tracks, and perhaps a special Enduro event coming up soon. Thanks again, folks. Everybody have a great evening and a great week. This is Ian Wisman for the VRG signing off.